Hi and welcome to another edition of the Droopy Dog Gamer. I'm Leighton. If you like our content, please remember to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Today we're looking at the PlayStation 5 and optimising it for the best gaming experience, and why this little thing here could end up costing you your entire digital games collection if you don't set it up right. Let's see the Droopy Dog roll the credits! The PlayStation 5 controller, highly rated by the critics, comes with its own unique feature, different to the PlayStation 4. It comes with its own built-in little microphone, which you can see just there. And the light, the little LED, will signify whether the microphone is on or off. So the microphone at the minute, as we can see with the little yellow light, is muted. So if I press that and it's now gone off, as you can see, that means the microphone is on and recording all the time. So if I'm on my multiplayer COD and I'm kind of losing it a little bit at getting killed, I might use my potty mouth and use profanity. That could end up costing me my PlayStation account or getting suspended for a number of days. We do not want that. So when you don't want your voice recording, always remember to hit mute. However, we don't always remember this, and I've done it myself, where you're playing away and you might be swearing or doing whatever you do. You might have music on in the background that's got profanities in it, and you don't want that broadcasting, because if anybody reports it, it can end up costing you your PlayStation account. You do not want that. So you don't always want to remember to have to hit mute all the time. So there's a setting in the PlayStation that we can alter and make that automatically muted every time you turn it on. So here we are on the main screen of the PlayStation 5. We go up to settings, and here's our main menu of settings. So at the top we've got the user's guide, health and safety, etc, etc. Accessibility, which are your options to change your colour correction, your text size, bold text, etc, etc. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. Your controllers, so you can change sort of your trigger effect, how strong you want the intensity on your triggers, and vibration intensity. If you want to turn that down, obviously it saves on batteries. And a few extra bits, nothing really exciting on there. Network is obviously your connection status and how you connect to the internet. Obviously that's your user account, so I'm not going to go into there. Family and parental controls, that's pretty self-explanatory. System, this is quite an interesting one. So we've got our console information. You've got system software and your update settings. Obviously you always want it on automatic update, and you want it to install files automatically. The next one down, HDMI, is quite an interesting one. So you've got enable HDMI device link. That's basically if you press your controller on your PlayStation, it will switch certain televisions on. If you've got a television that has an HDMI device link option on it. Enable HDCP. You always want this connected on, unless, like me at the moment, you're using a video capture device. So because I've got my video capture device on and I'm recording the screen of my PlayStation, I can't have this on. If you go on Twitch and you like broadcasting your gaming and you've got a separate capture device, you must have HDCP switched off in order to use your capture device on your PlayStation 5. But if you're not doing that, at all of the times, I'd recommend switching that on. Otherwise, like it says, some games and apps can't be used. Language, pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into that. Date and time. Power saving, again, is pretty self-explanatory. It's got features that you can set how long you want your PlayStation to remain on if it's just idle on the home screen. So you can have it on for 20 minutes. This is also when you're playing music during media playback. Again, pretty self-explanatory. You can have it for if you're just watching music and videos on your PlayStation 5, you can have it turn itself off after a while. Web browser, that's quite intriguing really, because at the moment there is no web browser on the PlayStation 5, so I would guess that one is coming probably in the future, but at the moment we haven't got one, so that's pretty useless. But I'm guessing that something might come in the future for that. Storage is pretty self-explanatory again. I'm sure you've been into here. So you've got the console storage, and you've also got, if like me, you've got a separate hard drive plugged into your PlayStation 5. You can't store PlayStation 5 games on a separate hard drive, but you can store PlayStation 4 games on a hard drive and play the game straight from the separate hard drive. I've got a 4 terabyte external drive plugged into my PlayStation 5. I've had it since day one. I've had no issues. There have been many sort of reports of people having problems with separate hard drive plugged into the PlayStation. I've been using mine since day one and I've had no problems. So you can also remove it safely from the PlayStation 5 if you want to remove the hard drive. Sound, again, pretty self-explanatory, but here's where we come to the interesting bit, because we've got microphone, audio out and volume. Let's start with the microphone. So unlike the PlayStation 4, you've got an input device, microphone on controller. Let's click on that. Here we go. Select the audio input device for the microphone to use. We can't change it because I've got nothing plugged in at the moment. I've just got my controller and no headset or anything plugged in. So it will automatically use the microphone on the controller. You can adjust the level of that microphone. Now here's the most interesting, and to me the most important setting on the PlayStation 5. So let's just go out again, because this is, I think you should change this. This should be the first setting you change on the PlayStation 5. So we're on the main menu, we go up to settings, we click on settings, and we go down to sound. We click on sound and we've got the microphone. And we go down to microphone status when logged in. At the moment, it's on mute. But by default, when you first get your PlayStation 5, microphone status when logged in. So the minute you switch your PlayStation 5 on, it's hearing everything you say through your little microphone on the controller. Now that is not good, because if you automatically switch on to Fortnite or Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, anything at all that's sort of an online game, and even if it's not you, if somebody sort of uses bad language in the room or anything at all and somebody reports you, it's goodbye gaming account, goodbye all your digital games collection, goodbye everything. I cannot believe that the default setting on this is switched on. Now, it's very easy. You've got a single button on the controller that you can use to just switch it straight on or off. But I guarantee you, as I have done, there will be many times when you forget and you're playing along and you're playing your game and then you think, oh no, it's suddenly recording. You're aware that your voice is being tracked on everything during your game. So the minute you get your PlayStation 5, this is my recommendation. You go straight into the microphone setting and switch that the default, when you first switch your PlayStation on, every time you switch it on, it will automatically be muted. Then if you want to turn your microphone on, you just hit the button on your controller and it'll come straight on. But you don't want your microphone on automatically. That is not good. The audio output device is HDMI because I've not got anything else plugged in. Switch output device automatically. This is quite a useful little feature. So basically, if you've got your headset which plugs into your controller, this will automatically switch your sound from your TV or your sound bar or whatever you're using for your sound. It will automatically switch it to your headset. You can have that on or off. Obviously, that's useful on. HDMI device type. So this will basically alter the spectrum of sound that your PlayStation 5 produces. So I'm actually on a soundbar, so that's mine set on TV, which is standard. So we're going to change that. That should be on soundbar. So if you've got an AV amplifier, you've got choices here. You can adjust the speaker positions, how many channels of sound there are, whether it's you've also got options here for headphones. You can enable 3D audio if you've got headphones. and more sort of sound options down here, home screen music on or off, sound effects, and you've got your audio format. So for most people just using the standard equipment, it will be linear PCM. If you've got a more fancier sort of sound system, you can have a Dolby bitstream audio format, or you can have a DTS bitstream audio format. So that will be depending on what your amplifier says. So if you've got DTS or if you've got Dolby, adjust it accordingly. But for most people who are just using it through standard sound bars, it'll be a linear PCM. Okay, so now we move down to screen and video. You'll find a lot of useful settings on this page. So we've got the video output information. So it will just tell you basically what your TV, what you're seeing on your TV. So the resolution, we've got it at 60 Hertz, 3840 by 2160, which is 4K. And the color format is RGB, and the HDCP, that is switched off. That's our capture option there. You've also got HDR. At the moment on my capture card, it's not supported, so I can't use HDR on my capture card, but that would normally be switched on. And again, the frequencies for 4K output, it'll be either 50 or 60 Hertz depending on your TV. If you can have it on 60 Hertz, you definitely want it on 60. It will be a smoother experience. Resolution, so we can switch it on interlaced, 1080i, or 1080 progressive. Progressive always gives a much better experience, so you always want it on progressive really. I would prefer 720p as against 1080i. Interlaced will not give you as nicer experience, just in my opinion, as a progressive scan will. It's the scan of your television. 4K video transfer rate, this is something you can adjust if you've got flickering. It'll only really apply if you've got a slightly older television, some of the early 4K TVs. You can adjust this to adjust your transfer rate, so we can go -1 or -2. They're just simple settings you can adjust there. The HDR is off at the moment, so we can't adjust the HDR. Your adjust HDR would normally be your white and black settings, so you can sort of set the brightness of the contrast within the HDR setting, so it will give you brighter whites and really darker sort of blacks. So at the moment my capture card can't support HDR, so that's automatically off. Your deep color output, again, that will be sort of connected in a similar way to your HDR, and at the moment that's automatically off because my capture card won't allow that. RGB range. Your RGB range is set by your television. A lot of TV monitors have what they call full RGB, which is a color spectrum, and you'll see more colors in sort of a higher range computer monitor. 99% of television sets don't have full RGB. They only use a limited RGB range, so they don't see quite as many colours as computer monitor. So that's set on automatic, but you've got the choice of limited or full. So if you're using your PlayStation through an actual computer monitor, have it switched on to full if it will work. Now, your screen, adjust display area. It's amazing how many people don't do this. So you've got 4 circles on the screen, as you can see, in each corner, and you can adjust using your controller. Let's just adjust there, go back to it, and we can move. If we click smaller, I can adjust it. Hopefully you can see through my capture card, so that's gone smaller or larger, and let's just set that's on full, so that's using my full screen. Now we're going to go into the TV options a little bit later on, because many modern televisions will now automatically stretch your picture. So if you go and alter your television setting, you'll need to come back to this and alter this. It's not really advisable to have the automatic stretch feature on a television set when you're gaming, because it can increase latency. We'll come to latency in a bit. Latency is a whole new subject, and it's a scourge of gamers. You want as little latency as possible. So dim screen while inactive is pretty standard. You can switch that on. It acts almost like a screensaver. So if you've got an OLED TV where you can get something called screen burn-in, that's if you've got a still picture on your screen for a long period of time, you can dim it automatically after so many minutes if your PlayStation's idle, and it will save your TV screen. Accessories, pretty standard. You've got your Bluetooth accessories, turn off accessories, or you can turn off Bluetooth altogether, and obviously it will switch your controller off because your controller works through a Bluetooth wireless setting. Speaker control volume, vibration for your speaker, so strong is standard, pretty similar to the PlayStation 4 really. Trigger intensity, so this is where on the PlayStation 5 it has its unique feature of force feedback through the triggers. So this is standard, is strong, but if you're playing Call of Duty and certain other games where you'll feel the resistance when you sort of pulling the trigger for the guns, you might want to set that to off or to a weaker effect, because it can get annoying sometimes. This is quite an interesting one. Brightness of controller indicators. So when I'm playing my PlayStation 5 at night, I find the light on the controller shines back through my television. It's really annoying. So I always have this set to dim. The last thing I want in a dark room is this great big light shining back through the TV set, which is the reflection of my controller. So I always have that set on dim. And it saves batteries as well in my controller. Then we come down to communication method. You can choose whether the controller communicates with your PlayStation 5 using Bluetooth or the USB cable. You can set up your media remote control. Obviously, if you've got the PlayStation remote, keyboard, pretty standard. You can just set up a keyboard or a mouse, and you can adjust the PlayStation camera if you've got one. So if we can zoom out of there and go back, here's where we've got save data and game settings. PlayStation 5, we've got storage. You can adjust and upload to the cloud if you want to, and all your cloud sort of stuff there. Save data to the console storage or to a USB drive, and you can also have automatically upload all your game saves to the cloud. Game presets. This is quite interesting on the PlayStation 5. So on the presets, we can adjust the game default to easy, normal, so you don't have to go into a separate game's options. You can automatically go to hard if you want a hard setting. Obviously it won't work on all games. It'll only work if the programmers of the game have programmed to use this feature in the PlayStation 5. Performance mode or resolution. So this will be game default again, but you can adjust for a performance mode, which means that perhaps you won't get some of the ray tracing, but it'll be a smoother experience and you'll get more frames per second. Resolution mode means you'll get a higher level of quality of graphics, but you'll get less frames per second. So some games will probably be reduced down to 30 frames per second in resolution mode, whereas they could be sort of 60 frames per second or even more if you've got a higher sort of television set, high level television set. But you won't get probably ray tracing and things like that. Again, that's sort of dependent on the game programming and what the programmers have done with that individual game as to whether that feature works. First person view, again, that's pretty standard. So it's whether you prefer first person view or whether you prefer third person view, and whether you want subtitles on your audio. Automatic updates, pretty standard stuff. Auto install in rest mode, so if you leave your PlayStation 5 in rest mode, which again there's been a bit of controversy because a lot of people in the beginning were complaining that if they put their PlayStation 5 into rest mode it caused problems. Again, I've never had an issue with this from day one. It seems to be if people leave certain games running and then put it in rest mode, then there's issues, but I always sort of end my game and put it in rest mode. I've never had a problem. With this setting, you can auto install and leave games installing, which I've done and I've had no issue with. Auto download, your PlayStation 5 will regularly check for the latest updates, and it's pretty standard stuff. Spoiler warning, this is brilliant. So this is sort of something brand new to the PlayStation 5. So you can warn if a spoiler comes on. So if a friend sends you a video from PlayStation to PlayStation, if it's got a spoiler in it, the PlayStation 5 will pick up and it will automatically hold, or sort of won't let you see it. So that's really, really good. I like that. Again, that's something that's encoded in the video from the game developers, so if it's programmed in, that will sort of warn you about game spoilers. So we move down to notifications, and this is just if you want little pop-ups on the PlayStation, which will notify you of sort of things happening and sort of things with your favourite games. And it'll also notify you if you want when friends come online, pretty similar to the PlayStation 4 and how that worked. And you game invitations, trophies, and you've got different things there. So you've got loads and loads of options there just with notifications. Captions and broadcasts. So this is if you want to go into the Twitch community again and start sort of broadcasting your games. Then you've got a screenshot format. So if you want to sort of take a still, you can save it as a JPEG or a PNG file. Or if it's a video clip, this is really useful. You can save it as a video as an MP4, which is better quality, or you can use it as a WebM. So if you're on Twitch and you're live streaming, I'd recommend WebM, or if you've got a lower sort of internet speed, use WebM. If you want a higher quality sort of broadcast, then I'd recommend MP4. So again, manual recording resolution. The PlayStation 5 will record up to 1080p, which is standard HD. So although it's 4K, it will only record to YouTube or Twitch in high definition. And again, it will only capture as well in high definition. So your videos that you make, if you're recording your own gameplay, will only be in high definition, even though you're watching through 4K. You can also include your mic's audio, or you can switch that off. So anything that you're saying through your headset, it will automatically record. You can also include whether you want the rest of your party's audio chat involved as well. You can turn their chat off and just have yours if you're frightened of what your friends will say, or if you trust them, yeah, you can switch it on. Okay, if you go to broadcasts, again, that's the quality of your broadcasts. So at the moment we're in 1080p at 30 frames per second. Obviously, the more you put that up, if you want it at sort of 60 frames per second, but of course it will use more bandwidth. Audio, so you can include your audio in live broadcasts. Camera, that's your camera settings. So you can switch your camera on or off. At the moment it's off, and you can adjust the transparency, so you can have sort of a transparent camera of yourself in the corner. That's really nice. You can have different effects there. Obviously this is greyed out at the moment because I've got no camera linked up, but you could have I think it's black and white, and you can have sort of lines and different effects, and brightness and contrast. You can set that up and get a really good effect. Also as well, you can use an automatic green screen, so you can black out what's behind you and have like a transparent effect. Looks really cool. Green screens are really cheap on Amazon, sort of £5 or £6 you can get a green screen for behind you, and make it look a really professional broadcast on Twitch. Overlays, so you can have display chat. You can sort of display the chat for your broadcast. You can also display whether you've got new viewers, and you can adjust whereabouts that is in the screen. Unfortunately, you can't adjust the size of it, and it is quite a big sized overlay. I wish there was an option, perhaps in a future update, Sony might add to adjust the size of that. That would be a nice option, but at the moment we're stuck with the size. You can also save trophy screenshots or save trophy videos. This soon adds up. I have this automatically turned off because I don't want screenshots and videos. They add up and you forget to get rid of them, and they clog up your hard drive, and the hard drive on the PlayStation 5 is not large anyway, so the last thing I want is videos that I've forgotten to delete. So I automatically turn those off. And that just about concludes all the settings there. So now we're going to have a look at latency. Latency is the time between touching a button on your controller to actually seeing what happens on your screen. So there'll always be sort of like a few milliseconds, and we want to cut down. Latency is awful for gamers because obviously you want as quicker experience as possible. If you're on live sort of shooters, you don't, if somebody's got lower latency than you, that's an advantage. So you want lower latency as possible. So to do that, it's all about your television. So we're going to now have a look at a few television settings we can do that will give you the lowest latency possible. It's nothing to do with online latency and your internet connection. It's purely to do with your connection between your PlayStation and your television. Years ago, televisions simply displayed what was put through them through a signal, but now obviously they've got built-in processors. In a lot of cases it will add effects, it will make the picture smoother, but it's terrible for gamers. So you do not want movie mode on any TV when you're playing a game. Manufacturers sort of caught up with the fact that a lot of people play games through their television sets and added game modes. In 99% of cases, game mode is what you'll be wanting to be playing on. However, not all game modes on televisions work very well. In particular, Philips range of televisions are awful. The game mode on those, it's terrible. Whoever designed it, it was just a disaster. And they have a different mode called PC mode. PC mode or computer mode, try flipping it. And instead of using game mode, try flipping it if your television's got that mode on it, and you'll often find that that's even better than game mode, and we'll go into the reasons why in a second. Some TVs won't have it, some TVs will, but it'll basically kind of make your TV as similar as possible to a gaming monitor. It'll switch off all the internal effects in your TV and it'll give you a much better experience. Let's take a look. Okay, so I've got my TV remote control in hand and we switch our settings on. We can actually set game mode. So game mode is the best mode on the modern range of Samsung TVs, and it will reduce that latency that we've talked about, and that will give you the best experience. If you're on a Philips range of TV, I do not recommend game mode at all. You'll have something on there called PC mode, and the PC mode is by far a better mode on that range of TVs. So I hope you've picked up some useful tips today. If you've enjoyed our content, please remember to hit like and subscribe. It really helps out our little channel. From me and the Droopy dog, we'll see you next time.